All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. And today we're looking at something called A Guide to Self-Preservation. And wow, this one is something else.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
It's definitely got some strong opinions about how much you should actually give to other people.
It pretty much says that you should never give your all or fix anyone or put hopes in other people.
Or help anyone completely.
Right. And never risk your life for anyone.
So pretty intense stuff.
Definitely a strong take.
Yeah, and it almost feels like the author is speaking from personal experience. You know what I mean? Like they're saying, don't make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah, there's this real raw emotion in the writing.
Like they're really trying to warn us about something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, believe me, I've been there.
It really makes you wonder what kind of stuff happened to them to make them feel this way.
For sure. And it also makes you think about all the times you maybe went all in for someone and it didn't really work out so well for you.
Right.
Like the source mentions ending up in the garbage. Completely forgotten and unappreciated. Ouch. Yeah, that's harsh.
It makes you wonder if they're talking about a bad breakup or maybe a job where they worked really hard, but no one even noticed.
Yeah, those are really good examples. I think a lot of people have been in situations where they felt used or taken advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. Whether it's with family or friends or even romantic relationships.
Exactly. And this source might be extreme, but it really makes you think about where your own limits are.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they even say no one will even look back if you give too much of yourself to others.
It's a pretty scary thought.
So is it actually possible to be too helpful to people?
Well, that's where this idea of emotional labor comes in.
Okay, I've heard of that, but what exactly does it mean?
So basically, it's like if you're always giving your time and energy to other people without taking care of yourself, you're going to end up feeling totally drained.
Makes sense.
It's like running a marathon without ever stopping for water or rest.
You're going to bone out eventually.
Ex-
But then isn't there a risk of going too far in the other direction? Like becoming so closed off that you push everyone away? How do you find that balance between protecting yourself and having close relationships with people?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And I think the key is figuring out what your non-negotiables are in a relationship.
Non-negotiables.
Yeah, the things you absolutely will not compromise on.
Oh, okay. I get it.
So for some people, it might be honesty or feeling respected.
And for others, it might be feeling appreciated or having their needs met.
Exactly.
So are you saying we should have a list of rules for everyone we're friends with?
Well, not exactly a list of rules, but more like a clear idea of what you value and what you need to feel good in a relationship.
Okay. So it's less about telling other people what to do and more about knowing your own limits.
Right. And it's okay to walk away from a situation if those limits aren't being respected.
That makes a lot of sense. This whole guide to self-preservation is pretty intense, but it definitely makes you
Absolutely. And that's what these deep dives are all about, right? Getting us to think differently about our own lives.
for sure. So to wrap things up, even though this guide to self-preservation might sound a little dramatic, it brings up some important points about having boundaries and knowing your worth.
I completely agree.
So what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing is to remember that protecting yourself doesn't have to mean shutting people out. It's about figuring out what you need to be happy and healthy in your relationships and being brave enough to stand up for yourself.
I love that.
So as you're going about your day, think about what your own non-negotiables are. Think about where you draw the line in your relationships and how well you're honoring those boundaries. It's something we could all probably think about a little more.
Couldn't agree more.
Mwah.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Bye.